Okay, I just want to talk about this piece really quickly. I study generational trends for a living. I have for the last 15, 20 years. And youth insights has always been a very big business. But this Wall Street Journal piece right here basically says there's been a cottage industry for Gen Z translators. And a big reason for that is the rise in market share among Gen Z. This says Gen Z spending will grow to 12.6 trillion globally by 2030, up from 9.8 trillion in 2024. The economy may seem terrible, but in fact, we're spending. When I say we, I mean us collectively, but Gen Z especially. This gets into how all of these in-house firms are spinning up Gen Z consultants to basically translate youth insights to brands. This is how cool hunting and trend spotting has always been. Talking to cool people and then taking those insights and translating, giving brands something that they can do with that. As someone who spends way too much time on TikTok, one detail jumped out at me that I have to talk to someone about. There's this research firm called Cafeteria. It was founded in 2023. I've actually had a couple of calls with them. They're cool. They're an interesting brand. They have more than 6,000 teens on their platform. These teens earn $5 every time they answer a question. Companies and agencies pay for access to these insights. They raised $3 million in a funding round, and they're valued at $22 million. It says the clothing brand Roller Rabbit has used cafeteria research to guide product development and marketing. Fascinating, right? Roller Rabbit, if you're not familiar, but if you spend time on TikTok, you certainly are. They're those really patterned pajamas that are super popular among teen girls. It says Roller Rabbit had been toying with moving into scents, but cafeteria data led it to pause this idea. They were going to launch fragrance, and the data that they got from this platform led them to rethink this. But this jumps out at me because everything I know about Roller Rabbit fans is that they're huge fragrance consumers. They love Sol de Janeiro. They love layerable scents. They would love a Roller Rabbit fragrance. But what they got from this platform, and I'm not saying this data is wrong, but it is really interesting when you think about scaling research, because then it becomes not your super fan. If Roller Rabbit had launched a fragrance like tied to back to school hauls, it would be massive. Like, this would be a massive thing. And instead they decided against it. So Roller Rabbit, if you're watching this, rethink that, because you will have one of the biggest launches for holiday. Price at the same price as Sol de Janeiro. Maybe do a limited run. It will be a huge success.